Hey y'all, it's Chelsea, and welcome back to my channel. Long time no see. I have learned that when I'm going through crises, videos do not get made. It's fine. We're going to go about our regularly scheduled programming. I know I have not been the most consistent the last couple of months, and I am truly, truly sorry. But just let me tell you now, 2024 is my year. Okay, the last I checked, I had 12 video ideas, and that didn't include my new vlog series that I'm going to be doing for the entirety of the year and just any other vlogs. We're gonna learn to do the fucking vlog in 2024. Just you wait. Bear with me a little while longer. I promise you will be seeing a whole lot more of me. This video is for y'all as a thank you to staying subscribed, showing your excitement, like still being interested in this channel. I'm taking us all the way back to September, so you're getting 3 months worth of rapid fire reviews. Y'all have been begging me for a feature-length film. I can't promise that this is going to be that, but I have made quite a few of these mini reviews longer than my typical 5 words or less to try and give you that extra entertainment. I read 107 books in 3 months. What? That still baffles me. I truly feel like an audiobook queen. Okay, first, I read Red Rising. I had already DNF'd this book once. One of my favorite booktubers is Becca in the Books, and she swears by this series. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna give it another try. I got all of the audiobooks for the entire series, hoping that maybe the second time around, I would like the first book better, and I would just binge my way through the whole series because I wanted to feel what she was feeling. I gave that shit 2 stars. No one here is surprised. Hi, if you didn't know, I'm Chelsea 2 stars. I really regret finishing it. I really wish that I would have just stuck to my DNF. It was not worth it. I'm dead from boredom. I read all 4 volumes of Sue and Tai Chan. This is a graphic novel series. It's kind of like a spin-off from Chi's Sweet Home. I gave all of these 5 stars. Sue reminds me of S. I love it. I'm a cat girly. This is a book about cats. Like, there was no way this wasn't gonna win. There was no way. They are wonderful. I read 12 volumes of Lumberjanes. Lumberjanes is quickly becoming one of my favorite graphic novel series. I love it. My main interest in trying this series out was because the cabin that the girls stay in is called Roanoke Cabin, and their like cabin leader is named Jennifer. My stepmom's name is Jennifer, and we have some stories regarding Roanoke. No one's gonna understand any of that except me and her, and I don't know if she watches any of these, but that's what sucked me in. But I stayed for the magical kittens. I love it. It's a great series. I'm not even halfway through it. They're all on my wish list. They have an average of like a low 3, but I did give like quite a few of the volumes 5 stars. I read Imogen, obviously, and I gave this 3 stars. It has been 4 years since my last Becky Albertalli, and that ship has sailed. I read Wild as the Witch. I gave this 4 stars. The setting, the atmosphere, the owl, it all just works for me. I had a really great time here. I read Magnolia Parks. I gave this one 3 stars. It is super toxic and dramatic, but if you like Jersey Shore and if you like Gossip Girl, this is going to work for you. I never in a million years thought that I would read this book and enjoy it. This is a perfect example of why you should continue to pick things up outside of like your comfort zone, because you never know what you're gonna like. If you would have asked me straight out, I would have been like, I guarantee you those books probably suck. And like, to be fair, they do, but like, I love them. But this one just got a 3. I was itching to get my hands on the rest after the first one, even though I only gave the first one a 3. I read Tripping Arcadia. I gave this 3 stars. I started this book when it was a full moon book club pick, however many months ago, and it's taken me this long to finally finish it. Um, I rapidly lost interest in the plot. I just didn't care, and I got to a certain point where I was kind of just waiting for it to be over. I read Masters of Death, and I also gave this 3 stars. I was very disappointed by this. This book specifically is the most dialogue heavy book I have ever read. Like, I was constantly confused about where we were and what was happening and what the point of anything was, because it is literally just a fucking play. Like, these people are just talking. They are just talking, and that is it. Nothing else is happening. They're just standing around talking to each other. I read Last Chance Books, and I gave this 4 stars. This was another one that caught me by surprise. I had a really fun time with it. I'm keeping my physical copy. I could see myself rereading it. It's a damn shame that I'm not interested in anything else that this author has put out. Like, if I can find the audiobooks for them someday, maybe I'll give them a try, but just reading the synopsis, I'm just like, I don't want to read that. But this one was fun. This one just worked for me. It appealed to my sense of humor, so... I read the Sheets trilogy, so I reread the first 2, and I read Lights, which is the conclusion. That's the most recent one that just came out. I gave them all 5 stars. This is, I feel, the most underrated graphic novel series of the history of the world. It is perfection. The story, gorgeous. The paneling, gorgeous. The emotion that Brenna Thumler elicits in such simplistic illustrations is astounding. I recommend it to everyone. I swear to God, if you take one recommendation from me, let it be Sheets. It's actually right here. I read Jack of Hearts and Other Parts. I gave this 2 stars, and it gave me the ick from start to finish. Like, I think it was just a me problem. But I really didn't enjoy it. And the funny thing about this book is it took me 3 separate trips of selling books to half price for them to actually take it. It's like they didn't want it either. I read Husband Material, and I very sadly gave this 3 stars. I think it's a waste. If you read Boyfriend Material and you really enjoyed it like I did, just leave it alone. Like, it is perfect on its own. You don't need to read this one. The ending, like, ruined the entire story. Like, you're building up to this thing and then it doesn't happen. And you're like, well, why did you just waste all my time for? Like, it's a damn shame. I finally read Lobizona. This has been around for a while now. I constantly see people talking about it, people hauling it, talking about how beautiful the covers are, blah, blah, blah. I gave this 3 stars. I'm not always the biggest YA reader, but this one was like incredibly YA. In terms of dramatics, the main character gets period cramps so intensely that she slams her head off of a wall to knock herself out because she's just in so much pain. And I'm like, bro, calm the fuck down. It was excessive. I read Man-Made Monsters, and I gave that shit 5 stars. It is a masterpiece. You cannot tell me otherwise. It is so fucking good. I had to go out I had to go out and get a physical copy. Like, that's how much I loved it. That physical copy is damaged, but it was the only one in the city, and I was not going home without it. So I have a ripped copy, and I don't even care because it's just that good. Read it. I read A Winter's Promise. I've been eyeing this series for a while, and the ultimate dream was to read this series, fall madly in love with it, and then learn French so I could read the original versions. That was not the case. I gave this 3 stars. I was more interested in where our main character came from, as opposed to where she was going in the story. I may pick up the sequels on audio, maybe, but like, they are not a priority whatsoever. It would probably just be on one of those occasions where I have no audiobooks and they were available. I read Bring Me Your Midnight, and I gave this 2 stars. It was sitting at a 3 until I got to about 70%, and it just went downhill from there. The vibes, they're incorrect. Also, I just really don't like water type stories, like if the people live by the water, or if water is like an important element of the story. I typically don't like those kinds of stories, so I was hesitant to pick this one up in the first place, but can confirm I don't like it. I read A Discovery of Witches, and I gave this 3 stars, and the people are correct when they are saying that this is Twilight for adults. It most certainly is. I will probably continue the series somewhere down the line, but they would definitely be library picks. I don't think I'd want to own this series physically, but we'll see if I even get to the sequels, and we'll kind of reconvene and see if I still feel that way. I read This Winter by Alice Oseman. The Heartstopper novellas have not been the vibe for me. I don't really like them. I listened to this one on audio, and the actor who plays Charlie's sister in the show narrates a section of the audiobook. And honestly, that enhanced my reading experience so much. I still only gave it a 3, and I did unhaul it, but just that factor in the audiobook made my time with it so much more enjoyable. I read Anna Dressed in Blood. It's no surprise that I gave this 2 stars. Nothing ages quite so badly as YA. I feel like if I would have read this when it first came out, I maybe would have enjoyed it, but reading it like way after the fact as a 33-year-old, like it just was not doing it for me. But I did try it, so at least I can say I tried it. I read Feed Them Silence. This was a recommendation from Jan that I can actually get behind. I gave this 4 stars. Everything in here is heartbreaking, and I cried. It's not a story that's going to work for everyone, but I just feel like the subject matter and everything going on, like it really just got me. Now dipping into the October reads. I started October with Sour Candy. This was something I read for Spookoplathon. This is one of Beeb's books that she wanted me to read. I gave it a 2. It was only 73 pages long, and I still found myself skimming. Like, that's a problem. That is a problem. It didn't work for me. But I mean, I guess I can see why people like it. It's like Goosebumps for adults. But I didn't like it. I didn't think it was very good. Speaking of not very good, I read Graceling and also gave it 2 stars. The audiobook really hindered my enjoyment with this one for sure. Like, it wasn't just the fact that the writing was bad and like I was laughing at how bad it was. Like, the audiobook would play this severely dramatic music after every single scene. And while it was hilarious, like I hated it. I don't recommend the audiobook. I read Rebecca, and I gave it 5 stars. This is the gay comedic classic of my dreams. I don't know why none of y'all told me how amazing this book was. I have been sleeping on it my whole life, and now I want that really pretty white edition, and I want to annotate it, and I love Rebecca. I love it. I'm pretty sure I got something different out of it than most people, but I'm absolutely obsessed. I am so glad that I landed on that Spookopoly space, because I probably never would have picked this up otherwise, and I am just forever grateful. Thank you, Becca and the Books. I also read Mortal Follies. I gave this one 2 stars. To be honest, the second half of this book doesn't need to exist. Like, I was listening to the audiobook and I'm like, oh, okay, the story must be like wrapping up now. And we still had half of a fucking book. Like, I didn't like it. It wasn't the vibe. I read Mistborn, and I gave it 3 stars. I didn't dislike it. I think it is a very, very, very solid foundation for this expansive universe. It's not doing anything special for me. Like, I enjoy it while it's on. Like, it's fine. I don't see myself returning to any of these books. Like, I want to read them. I want to see, like, if they get better. But as of like right now, it's just kind of like, okay. Read What You Are Looking For is in the library. I gave it 5 stars. This is one of those books where I feel like no matter who you are, everyone could get something out of this book. I feel like this would be a really great like book club pick just because of all the things you can unpack in the text and all the conversations that you could have. Like it's very short and sweet and to the point, but there's a lot buried underneath, and I thought that was fantastic. I love it. I want a physical copy very badly. I read A Storm of Swords and I gave it 5 stars. Bro, that fucking ending. Oh my God. I can't imagine reading that book when it was first published and reading those last couple of lines and then having to wait like 16 and a half years. That's an exaggeration. I really don't know how long it took in between each book, but having to wait all this time for the next book in the series. Like that ending had me. Like I was already enjoying my time. But with those last couple of lines, like even if I wasn't already at a 5-star, it would have been a 5-star just with those 2 lines. I was just like, oh, that shit got me. That shit got me. I was not expecting that. I read Girl Made of Stars. I gave this 3 stars. This wasn't my favorite book. It's not something I'm ever going to return to, but it's one of those books where I'm really glad that it exists. So I did unhaul the copy that I had because I want the people who need that story to be able to find it. I do think that that book is going to mean a lot and has meant a lot to a lot of people. So I'm glad that it's around. It's just not, it's not a read Chelsea Read type book, you know? While we're on that, I also read A Lot's Away, and I gave this one 3 stars as well. My biggest takeaway from this book was they mention the haunted railroad tracks in San Antonio, and I just got a kick out of that because, hi, I live in San Antonio, and like I've been to those train tracks. I like when stuff like that happens in books, and living in San Antonio, you don't see too much San Antonio representation in books, at least not in the shit I read. Like a lot of them can't set a scene, so like you would never know you were in San Antonio, even if you were Mariana Zapata. I also read Assassin's Apprentice. I've heard nothing but good things regarding Robin Hobb. Like, I really want to dive into this universe that she's created. I unfortunately gave this one 3 stars. I feel like if I didn't know how expansive this world becomes, I don't know if I would continue. But I would really prefer if Fitz would just stay away from the animals. The people don't seem to like it, so I wish that he would just stop. Because like my heart physically can't handle that pain. I read The Whispering Dark, and I gave this 2 stars. The best way I can describe this book is Ninth House, but if Ninth House was a shitty YA novel. It sucks because I gifted myself a really beautiful edition of this book when I hit 100 subscribers. So I'm not unhauling it, I'm keeping it. That will be the probably only 2-star book on my shelves that you'll ever see. It was not good. It was not good. Just read Ninth House instead. You'll have a way better time, I promise. I read The Girl from the Other Side, Volume 1, like those really fancy bind-ups. I gave this 3 stars. I'm here for the cute relationship between the little girl and the beast guy, but the paneling is so fucking dark. Like, it literally looks like black squares, and I'm like really having to squint to see what the fuck I'm supposed to be seeing. Like, if these were in color, it would change everything. But I'm really not enjoying the format, even though like I'm having a good enough time with the story. I read Dreams Lie Beneath, and I gave this shit 1 star. I really don't know if Divine Rivals was a fluke or if Rebecca Ross's backlist is really just that bad, but I don't want anything else to do with it. I'm not reading any more Rebecca Ross books unless they're Divine Rival sequels. And I'm standing by it. I'm not picking up anymore. I'm not doing it. You can't make me. I also read I Was Born for This. I gave this 3 stars. I mean, it's fine, but I'm never going to return to it. And honestly, I've almost forgotten everything at this point. Like, it's not going to stick with me. But it was a fine way to pass an afternoon. I read Whalefall, and I only gave this 3 stars, though I will never reread this book, I can see myself recommending it to all kinds of people. I read The Well of Ascension. I also gave this 3 stars. This series is just fine. Like, it's just fine. Like, it's not bad, but it's not blowing my mind yet. My mind is not blown. I read Together We Rot. I gave this 3 stars. This cover is beautiful. And while this story did manage to hold my attention, it's just not something I'll ever return to. I read All the Dead Lie Down. I gave this 3 stars. It gets points for being gay. And speaking of gay, for my 300th book of the year, I obviously had to read The Honeys. This is my 3rd reread, so it only made sense that it should be book 300. It is still perfection. I still love it. It is fantastic. I love it. I love it. I love it. Shark Heart. I gave this 4 stars. This was weird in a way that worked. I really didn't know what I was getting into with this one. And once I started understanding what the fuck was happening, I was like, oh, I really don't know if this is gonna work, but it worked. It worked. I read The Frugal Wizard's Guide to Surviving Medieval England. I also gave this 3 stars. I am really starting to wonder if this man's full name is Brandon It's Just Fine Sanderson. I read Kindred. I gave this 3 stars. I really don't have anything else to say about it other than it was fine. I read The Cannibals of Candyland. I gave this a 2. God, I hate this fucking title. I Fed Her to the Beast, and the Beast is Me. I gave this 2 stars. This is a ballet story badly disguised as a horror. Like, if you're coming here for horror, skip it. If you're coming here for ballet, drama, and politics, this is your book. You are going to have so many scenes of ballet performances being described to you. I mean, I guess you could say it's horrific because it was so boring, but it's not horror. I read She Gets the Girl, and I gave this 4 stars. When anxiety is high, romance is the key. I read 10 Things That Never Happened. I gave this 3 stars. It is a bit on the slow side, but it's fine. It's better than husband material, at least. I read Accidentally Amy. I gave this 3 stars. Was this heavy on the cheese and super cringy? Yes. Did I eat that shit up? Yes. I also read Mistakes Were Made. I gave this 3 stars as well. It wasn't bad, but I'd never reread it. I read Part of Your World. I gave this one 3 stars. Honestly, there needed to be more goats. I read Daisy Hates, and I gave it 4 stars. But having progressed further into the series, it might be a 5-star. It is disgustingly disturbing how invested I am in this storyline. I read A Feast for Crows. I gave this one 3 stars. I have no interest in what's going on south of the Wall. I loved getting a break from Daenerys because I hate her, but I don't care about King's Landing. I burn it down. I read The Dead Take the A Train. I gave this 3 stars. This is a perfect library read, and I will continue with the series through the library. I told myself I was never going to pick up another Cassandra Caw book ever again. You can still see her slithering through these pages with her thesaurus in tow. It's way more digestible when she's writing with somebody else, so I can get behind continuing. I unfortunately read My Roommate is a Vampire. I gave this 1 star. I cannot for the life of me say a single good thing about this book. I have nothing nice to say. Nothing. There's nothing good here. Not for a second. Not at all. I read Things We Never Got Over. I gave this 4 stars. This was definitely something that I picked up when I was in the correct mood. I do own both of the sequels, and they'll probably be sitting there for some time because I need to be in a very specific mood to enjoy them. But I did. Now moving into November, I started the month out with episode 13. I gave this 2 stars. My only takeaway from this story is, you shot me, bro. I'm dying over here. It's been so long already since I've read that book, and that line is still funny every time and lives rent-free in my head. I followed that up with The Light We Carry. I gave this 5 stars. God bless Michelle Obama. I read You've Lost a Lot of Blood. I gave this 2 stars. There's no one to blame here but myself. I will never understand the hype with this author. I do not understand why they're so highly praised. Everything they write is a hot fucking mess from start to finish, and I'm not touching any more of it. I'm sorry, I'm done. Bye. I read Long Way Down. I gave this 3 stars. I wish that it was longer. I read Now Is Not the Time to Panic. I gave this 3 stars. I felt what I was supposed to be feeling. I read Bad Cree. I gave this 4 stars. I found this way more cozy than I feel like I should have. I was way more interested in hanging out with this family than I was with, like, the plot. I read Gleanings. I gave this 2 stars. Too little, too late. This doesn't need to exist. I read Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore. I gave this 2 stars, and this is mostly because at this point I've read way better books about bookstores and books. I read Yours Truly. I gave this 4 stars. I am a hoe for fake dating, and this one really made me laugh. I read the entire Harry Potter series. Again. I gave them all 5 stars. Again. I needed the nostalgia. Sue me. I read The Woman in Me along with everyone else on the internet. I gave this 3 stars. It just didn't move me. I reread Beach Read, and I actually bumped this from a 4 star to a 5. It was even better the second time around. I read Pretty Boys Are Dangerous. I don't rate poetry collections. If you're really into Amanda Lovelace, you'll probably enjoy this one too. It's not really my vibe, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. I read Moon of the Crusted Snow. I gave this 3 stars. I enjoyed my time here. We're finally on the last page of notes. I also reread People We Meet on Vacation. This one stayed at a 4 stars upon reread. The banter still hits, but it's not a 5. I read The Invention of Sound. I gave this 2 stars. I am seriously questioning what the fuck people working in publishing are doing with their time, because, like, they are just churning out garbage left and right. Like, I read Worthy. I gave this 4 stars. This is a clear example of why you should never judge other people's relationships. Depression can come for anyone, and you can always find common ground with people if you try. I read Tress of the Emerald Sea. This is my first 4-star Sanderson. I did read this out of order. I have a list of the Cosmere universe that I'm working my way down. I did read this one out of order. I am glad that I did, because I did give this one 4 stars, but I was very, very surprised to see Hoyd here. Upon some, like, I did a little research, and apparently, like, that's a thing. Like, he's around. But having only read 3 Cosmere books before this one, going into that one as it's so far down the list, I just didn't expect to see him. So when I saw him, I was like, hey! I read Spellbound. I gave this 4 stars. Gay magic. What's not to like? I don't see myself rereading it, but I do think it was very good. I read The Long Way Home. What am I supposed to do with that ending? Dude, I threw so many boxes during the reading of this book. If I could film while I was at work, like, the reactions you would have seen from me because of this book. I reread A Court of Silver Flames. I still gave this one 5 stars the second time around. This is the best one in the series. Fight me. I read Nestlings. I gave this 3 stars. It's fine, but it's no Mary. I also read Cryptid Club. I gave this 4 stars. I had a lot of fun with this. Beebs and I both got a few chuckles. I read The Great Undoing. I gave this 4 stars. The endings of these books are my great undoing. I read In the Company of Witches. I gave it 2 stars. I am not reading the same book as all of my friends I'm convinced, because I hated this piece of shit and they all love it. Like, it is just one long, boring conversation. Our main character never even realizes that she's ever actually speaking, and naming the bird dog is not quirky, it's idiotic. I read Out There Screaming. I gave this 2 stars. I'm out here screaming how bad this book is. To sum it up for you, I'll give you a little quote. Pea tasting kidneys. I read The Bone Season. I gave this 4 stars. I was honestly hooked from page 1. No one is more shocked than I am. I read The Wake Up Call. This is Beth O'Leary's newest release. I gave this 2 stars. This is miscommunication at its worst. I finally understand why everyone hates this trope so much. So if that's not your thing, do not pick this book up. I read The Center. I gave it 3 stars. There was so much potential here, and it was all wasted. Choosing to tell this story from this main character was a disservice to us all. I read Tell Me I'm Worthless. I still can't rate this book. I don't think I'll rate this book, but this is gay gothic horror at its finest. In my personal opinion, it's one of the most fucked up stories I've ever read. I do want a physical copy of it, but I don't know if I could bring myself to read it again. But I'm still kind of mentally recovering. And of course, I finished out this whole mega 3-month wrap up with yet another 2-star, and that was Starling House. This was a big disappointment for me. This took every single turn I didn't want it to take. And it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame. But there you have it, guys. That is 3 months of reviews, 107 books read. I still can't believe that it happened. I have been talking for 45 minutes. So please like this video if you liked it. Talk to me down in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. I would really appreciate it. And I promise, again, you'll be seeing a lot more of me soon.